What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, episode number 136? To those astute viewers and listeners to the show, it is me on my lonesome for the moment. David and our guest will be here more closer to 9:30. So it's just going to be me hanging out with you guys for about 20-ish minutes. Then we'll bring him on. We'll do our normal show. Want to give a shout out right away to our buddy Nate. We missed you last week, Nate. Where were you? But he's here right away, and we're pumped to see him. And I'm pumped to see everyone that's watching this. So if you are watching this on X, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, please give us a like, share, follow, subscribe. Like I always say, smash the like button. Subscribe on YouTube, Facebook. Go give us a follow there. On X, follow and retweet. And the most importantly, spread this word of mouth. Go let everybody know that, we have a variety here. We don't just talk politics. We don't just talk pop culture. We don't just talk sports. We do a little bit of everything. It's the beauty of having your own show. You get to talk to whoever you want, talk about whatever you want. And it's been a good time. And I appreciate all the support that's always coming around. So thank you to everyone. If you want to find us on any of the socials, go to the Alex Cuesta Show. You'll see the logo. You'll see it there. And we will be there. So I want to get started today. Let's get right off the bat. We're going to talk about last week's show. Brett Dasovic was on the show. He's a co-host of Pop Culture Crisis, which is over on Timcast Media Network. And we had a fun time talking to him. He's a real smart guy when it comes to pop culture. And they give a fun view on what's going on and all that good stuff. So definitely go give that episode a listen last week, because I thought it was a really, really important episode and a fun one that we had. I want to start off this week. I'm going to start something new every single week, where I want to talk about the Epstein client list. And I want to say it every week until we actually see it, because it's something that nobody is, talking about. And it seems to have gone away. And it's something that shouldn't go away. So I don't care if it's 10 seconds on the show. I am going to bring it up. It's going to be out in the ether. And it's kind of mentioned in passing now, right? Like, oh, we still don't have this. And it should be something that every single major political commentator should be talking about daily. Everyone in Congress that gives a shit about it, which it seems that nobody does, should be talking about it daily, because we still don't know who the powerful people were that were actively, abusing, raping underage girls on an island. We have a flight list, and that flight list makes some people not look good, but overall, flight list doesn't tell you who was at the island. What will tell us is who's on that client list. So, until they shut the show down, until it is whatever happens, every week I'm going to talk about that Epstein client list, because we need it. We absolutely need it. It's ridiculous that we don't have it, and it's something that needs to be talked about, because we know Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. That is number one. We know he certainly didn't kill himself. We know that he was rubbed elbows with billionaires, because he was a billionaire. He rubbed elbows with the rich, powerful, the famous. And, I'm openly a guy that supports Donald Trump here. But, Trump was on the flight logs, right? And if Trump did anything, then fuck him, right? I think that's how everyone should be feeling about this. When it comes to little kids, when it comes to little girls, when it comes to things like that, it's wood chipper, right? That's kind of what we always talk about. It's wood chipper. So, this should be a no-brainer. And I'm calling on anyone that is in the space of like podcasters. I don't care if you're conservative, if you're liberal, you should not care about this. That shouldn't be a policy thing. We shouldn't be worried about what side you're on when it comes to something this important. So I'm going to ring the bell about the Epstein client list every single week. And maybe I'll bring it up with my guests and we'll get their opinions on it, because it should be something that we should be absolutely hammering. And if nothing happens from this show at all, if Dave and I, no one ever talks about us, but they mention like, hey, they want a streak of however many episodes of mentioning the Epstein client list, and they got shut down for it. I don't care what it is, or if it brings some change, we need to talk about it. It needs to stop being an afterthought. It needs to stop being something they swept under the rug, because the fact that it's not something that's brought up all the time just makes me that much more curious as to who and why was on it. Similar to the Trump assassination attempt, right? They don't bring it up anymore. So Nate AOL acting up again. No, Dave just was not going to be home until right around 9:30ish. So it's not AOL acting up again. It's not his internet connection. So and Nate also comes back in. Media already trying to memory hold the Trump assassination. Americans are like goldfish. That's correct. We move on to the next big thing. The next big thing was Biden dropping out, and then Kamala stepping up and being told that she's a candidate. And we do harp on the fact that the leftists just say, oh yeah, cool, Kamala, yeah, we're gonna accept Kamala. And it's like, why? It's difficult to understand because I see people that I've respected in my life and they're all over social media now, all of a sudden, all about Kamala. And these people didn't give a shit about her. Don't get me wrong. I saw some people making like positive comments whenever she was like knocked around in the media and things like that. But nobody cared about her. Nobody thought she was a viable candidate because she isn't. She isn't. And I think that we're going to talk to our guest about what the Trump campaign strategy should be from here on out. That's going to be one of the topics. But it needs to shift to policy because the more Trump talks about policy, the more it's going to force Kamala to talk about policy. And then it's going to show that she has none and that it's very warped. And as much as we love the culture war here, and I like getting into it. I think the culture war is important. I think right now, with how bad we are as a country, Trump needs to slam down all those traditional topics, the economy, the border, foreign policy, all the things that Kamala has a no record or a terrible record on. And also, crime and punishment, justice. Because in terms of what the leftist space is looking for, she's actually an awful choice. So that's where we need to go. So one topic I want to jump into before we bring our guests in. It's something that I've been thinking about making a video about, but now that I have the opportunity to just come in here and talk about it before our guests jump in, I'm going to. One of the things that I want to talk about is one of the main talking points that we hear nowadays, and this is from leftists, there's people on the right, middle, is we have never been a more divided country. This country has never been more divided. And I look around and it's like, I guess everyone has an opinion now, right? And social media makes that possible that everyone can sit there and put their opinions out there, whether it's good or bad. Most of it's misinformed garbage. And a lot of people are headline hunters. And I'll give the advice of don't argue with everyone on the internet. It's just a waste of time. You're not going to change their opinions, but you see it, right? You see a lot of that on social media. People that everybody has a political opinion now and they can put it out there. Where before that wasn't the case. And I really think that's where we're getting this we're so divided now mentality. Because we're not. We're not more divided than we ever have been. This country's always been divided. There's always been degeneracy. There's always been leftism. There's always been people on the right and conservatives and people trying to do that type of stuff where the place that I've always fallen into, right? But there have always been your leftist wackos. And they have always been fairly prominent. It's not like they came out of nowhere. You can go back to Teddy Roosevelt. The progressive wing of the party is just that for a reason. It was kind of a lot of the inception there. And it's pretty crazy that people are just now falling into another narrative. And it's one that they're using because they don't want people to sit there and look at it and go, we've always been this way, but we've always been able to coexist. Nate jumping in there saying, been seeing the Antifada wing of the Dems starting to rage about Kamala. Yes, Nate, that's true. But one thing we need to remember about the leftists are they will rage all they want. And this is something that I hate hearing on the conservative right now. They will rage all they want, but they will vote for Kamala. There is no staying home for leftists. They understand better than anybody on the right that you need to get out there and you need to win elections. And I'm telling you right now, everyone that's banking on, oh, these people hate her so much, they're going to stay home. They're not staying home, guys. They're not. So you can't stay home. These people that are raging right now, they're going to protest, they're going to rage, but then they're going to fall in line. They all do. They're going to fall in line. So it's something that, we need to realize here on the right. And we need to understand here that the division narrative isn't real. Here's what's been going on, and here's what I've seen in my life. Now I'm 35 years old, so I'm not super old. But, I was raised not raised conservative. My dad was a conservative. My mother kind of went wherever she thought was logical. But, my dad raised, I heard a lot of conservative stuff. I listened to Rush Limbaugh all the time. And Fox News, when it wasn't awful, was on TV a good amount. But he never really pushed me. I was just always wanting to be there and hang out with him. So I heard it. And it definitely made me into a more conservative individual. And Dave, you're jumping in. What's up, dude? How's it going, Dave?
Hello, hello. Just getting back from work. How are things going?
Good. I'm just riffing on the topic, so you could jump in whenever you want. So, being with dad made me a more conservative individual. And Dave, I'm just talking about how I don't think there's any the division narrative is bullshit now. That I think that how we're more divided than ever. I'm talking about how I think that's nonsense. And you could jump in if you want at one point. So, one of the things that I was always raised a Republican, a conservative, whatever you want to call it. And one of the things I knew growing up is it was a dirty word to be on the right. It was a dirty thing to be conservative. Growing up, you didn't openly talk as a conservative. You didn't have conversations. You kind of always just kept with the status quo, and then you would vote. And that would be your thing. You would watch what you wanted at home, read what you wanted, and you would vote and try to get them in. But you didn't talk about it in public. Maybe you argued at family tables, right? Dinner tables and holidays. Yes, you would debate. I remember, my uncle was very much on the left until Trump, and whatever reason, now he's the biggest Trump fan of all time. And thank God that he stopped being retarded. I'm happy about that. But and if you watch this, I love you. You know who I'm talking about. But it's one thing you would fight, but you wouldn't talk about it in public. It was persona non grata to talk about, especially being a conservative. If you were a leftist, boom, out in public, I have the moral high ground. But you couldn't be a conservative in public. It was every bad guy in the movie, and that's just what it was. So you didn't do it. So one thing that I think has happened is, number one, the advancement of social media and anonymity has allowed people to be more bold, right? You're anonymous. You can go out there. You can speak your mind. So we're seeing much more of the conservative memes and things like that. And the other thing is Donald Trump, what Trump did more than anything was he allowed conservatives to be conservative and made it not be a dirty thing and allowed people to finally just start speaking their mind in public. So what happened is that people started to actually debate. There started to be real things going on. That's where the division seems from. And at least that's what I see. I don't think there's more division. I think that it's just more people are willing to stand up and speak their mind. Because leftists were never used to getting pushed back on in this country. They were the ones that had all the power. They were your educators. They still are. They were your major media, and they still are. They were your, pop culture icons. And a majority of them still are, even in Hollywood. They had the Friends of Abe because these fucking people were scared to speak out because they would lose their jobs. So what's happening right now is we are just able to be out here and do this. We're able to do shows like this. All the shows on the right that are out there. There are hundreds, thousands of conservative shows, podcasts, too many for anyone to even care about, right? But they're out there and they're speaking their mind because, yes, censorship's a thing. But it is much harder now since there's so many voices out there for the leftists to really do anything. And they're trying. They're raging right now. They're going crazy. They're doing more than they ever have. Don't fall for it, people. Anyone watching this, don't fall for the division shit. They're not more divided. People are just showing their true colors now. Because, again, leftist, PC culture, politically correct. What was being politically correct? Saying whatever the leftists were saying was right at that time. And if you thought different, you were wrong. The bad guy was always Dave, growing up, right? What was always the juxtaposition? It was the city person was well put together. And that old dumb country backwards dope, right? And now as you get older, you're like, that country dude had it together. That city person was staggering in their own shit all the time. And they were a mess. So I guess where I'm getting at with this and what I'm trying to riff about is don't fall for the trick that we're more divided. Don't agree with it. I can't stand when I hear conservative people. We're a more divided nation than we ever have been. No, Republicans are just finally speaking their mind. Conservatives are just finally speaking their mind. And it's okay. It's okay to have your own politics. It's okay for that. And the most important thing you could do right now is outside of speaking your mind, getting involved. Because what comes with having your opinion, in which the leftists beat the shit out of us on left and right, is yes, they're loud and proud with their fucked up views, but they also not only get the polling stations, but they get involved. They activate the youth better than anything. So if you're watching right now, if you're a 20 something, if you're in college, I wouldn't say in high school, even though they attack high schoolers. I want high schoolers to know the message, but you guys should not be as politically involved as you are. I'm sorry. But if you're in college, if you're a young kid just starting out, get moving. What the fuck are you doing if you're in college? What else do you have to do? Go help out an election. That's on during the day. Go drink later. Go help out an election. Go volunteer. Go to your polling station. Don't leave it up to old people, because you know something? The leftists aren't super old at polling stations, and they're going to be out there. So I know you hear from all the major things, go to this, go to that, but it's true. And I always preach local first. We want Trump to win. But if you don't know who your board of ed members are, who your mayor is, who your council is, who your sheriff is, if you don't know any of those people, then you're in trouble. More than you think. You are in trouble much more than you think. So that is my rant. That is my fun. And it is a perfect time for it because our guest just popped in. And this is someone that I have to thank because I'm super pumped about this. We are bringing him in right now. He is Pastor Darrell Scott. He is a friend and advisor to President Trump. Pastor Scott, what's going on, man?
Good, man. Good. How about you?
Doing fantastic. And I just have to say, I appreciate you incredibly because we were scrambling midday today around 3:30 my time, whatever, 2 o'clock, when my guest we had scheduled for today, important and busy person in the whole fight, was like, hey, man, I got to be somewhere. I have to catch a red eye tonight. Got to be somewhere in the morning. And it's going to be, I have to leave before the start of your show. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Business is business, right? You got to do your thing. And I was just texting around and I was like, you know what? Let me try Pastor Scott. And almost immediately, you're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I appreciate you. How have you been, my man?
I've been good, man. We're trying to survive in this country that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have screwed up. So everybody is on we're on a day-to-day contract.
I mean, day to day is absolutely what, we're all like, that's like the injured list, right? Like your day to day, you're out for the year. If Kamala gets in, we're all permanently on the IR. Like we're out for the season and maybe a career. Like we are in.
When it comes to my wallet, I need Trump to get in.
When it comes to our existence, we need Trump to get in. So, Pastor Scott, number one, it's nice to see you on video. Last time, the only people I could see you on video were us. Now everyone gets to see that nice professional backdrop. That looks nice. I think as opposed to David's.
What do you mean?
Literally a terribly painted wall.
It's a professional backdrop. What are you talking
There's
about?
nothing there, Dave. We're podcasters, and you have nothing there. It's absolutely terrible. So,
man, David, what's up with that, man? You got to put something back there.
I know. I have to put something back there. I want to redo the whole office, but it's.
Pastor Scott, he's a troll.
Dragging the whole show down, man. You're making Alex look bad.
He's a troll.
He can do that himself.
Because we want him to do it, the more you feed a troll, the more they're going to do it. The more we ask him to do it, the less he's going to want to. So right now, it's just like he gets the satisfaction of being told to do it.
I ate an Arby's hamburger, right? It's like the best hamburger I ever had in my life. And I'm not even getting paid for this, right? The more I rave about that hamburger, the more my family refuses to eat it.
Exactly. There was this one burger that
they sick of hearing me talk about it, and they would not eat any of that hamburger.
I have one friend.
Eat one because I keep bragging about how good it is.
One of our friends loves Arby's, but no one else wants to eat it. So like he can never go to Arby's. He can just never have it because we don't really want to go there most of the time.
They haven't had new hamburger out, man. That hamburger is killing. I'm telling you.
One of the things that annoyed me is TGI Fridays. I'm not a huge TGI Fridays person, okay? But they're pretty decent. For a little while, they had this Italian burger, and it had mozzarella sticks. It had a whole like stack. It was just straight up Italian. Like it was delicious. It had a burger, mozzie sticks, mozzarella cheese, like just stacked, and it was delicious. Can I tell you they took it off the menu? I've not been back to TGI since.
Hey man, I don't blame you. You need to go out there with a picket sign and just, force them into putting the burger back on the menu.
I need to figure out a way to make this a leftist cause, because then they
If
can
you
get
show up
behind
with a
me.
Palestinian flag, they might just listen to you.
Maybe we'll tell President Trump. We'll ask President Trump to put the pressure on him.
I mean, that would be great. If President Trump would sit there and be like, Fridays.
Trump goes on his spaces. Trump goes on a Twitter space just
good friend, good person, Alex. He's complaining, and my buddy Pastor Scott. He brought this to my attention. Can we get this burger back?
And then we release the full force of Macedonia on them. Have all the Macedonians calling up there. We'll get them.
That would be amazing. That would actually be hilarious. And then maybe we'll find out. Then we'll see if we have to boycott TGI. Because if they're like anti-MAGA, then boom, we would expose them.
Since you said that, let me tell you a funny story. One of my funny Trump stories. This was all the way back in 2015, right? Mm-hmm. And it was when I was first getting out there with him on the trail. And we were in Detroit for an event. And we were in the motorcade. He was candidate Trump then.
Yeah.
And we were in the motorcade.
Yep.
And we were riding, and we rode by, and it was a guy out on the street with one of those grills cut in half, because we were riding through the hood going to Ben Carson's family home that he grew up in. And he had one of those, you know how they cut the barrels in half and make a grill?
Yeah.
Yep.
So a guy's out there with the barbecue, and the smell came into the car. So Trump was like, "What's that over there?" We said, "Man, the guy's selling barbecue." He said, "You think it's any good?" I said, "Heck yeah, that's the best street barbecue."
Absolutely.
So he said, "You think we should stop and get some?" So I said, "Hey man, we got a motorcade, police protection. We got 50 cars. We got the whole street block. We can't do it." He said, "No, that's all right. I got food coming to the plane anyway." So I'm like, man. So he finishes the stuff. We go to the airport, and Trump Force One is parked out there. And go up, he's got the gold seat belt buckles, and it's just the most opulent plane. I always told him, I said, Air Force One doesn't compare to Trump Force One. So while we're there, he says, "Oh man, the food is here." And the guy's smiling, and I'm thinking, man, this billionaire, wonder what we're gonna have to eat. Like, did they fly the salmon in straight from Norway? Is it pheasant under glass? This is a billionaire. What we gonna have? And he came up with the tray, and it was like 20 Big Macs, 10 quarter pounders with cheese, 10 orders of fries.
What I was like,
hey, and he was genuinely smiling about this McDonald's food there, man. I was like, this guy here. I knew I liked him for a reason.
Yeah, that was like when the national champs went to the White House. It was Clemson when Clemson won, and he had all the Big Macs and everything for him there.
How does McDonald's not endorse this man? That is the question.
Watch this. At the White House in 2018, there was the election night party for the midterms. Mm-hmm. And so, it was a select group of people in there, because on one side he said, "I'm going to take you over here where the killers are." And I go over there, and it's some of the richest people in America were there. I mean, Sheldon Adelson was there, and he was, he owns the was that the Venetian in
I think so.
In Vegas, the Venetian Hotel, and Ike Perlmutter, the CEO of Marvel Entertainment, was there, and Nelson Peltz was there. The head of Procter & Gamble. I mean, he said, "These the killer." Everybody at that table. I asked him. I said, "Man, how much money is sitting at this table?" And he put his nose up in the air, and he came down and said, "About $50 billion." So anyway, so he had the spread out. He had an opulent spread for them over there at the White House. It's the carved roast beef and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it was burgers, fries, and pizza. Guess what side he was hanging around on?
The burgers, fries, and pizza.
The burger, fries, and pizza. He didn't care about them killers over there. He didn't care about any of that opulent crap. He was over on the side with the burgers, fries, and pizza, man.
The most American food you could have, man. I love it.
I mean,
Rudyard Kipling has that poem, "If." And the seminal line of that is, "If you can walk with kings and keep the common touch." And that's Donald Trump. He's able to walk with kings, yet keep that common touch. And that's what endears him to the American public.
Yes.
And that's the thing about Donald Trump. And it's like, yes, he's a billionaire. Yes, he can have whatever he wants. The man can legitimately do whatever he wants. And you know what? He does live an opulent life. And that's okay, right? Because that's where the money gets you. But at the end of the day, where they always talk about who would you want to sit down and have a beer with in politics. I mean, man, Trump just seems like that guy that you do want. Like, He's funny, number one, and I'd rather go play around the golf with him because I like golf. So it's like, for me, drinking some beers, playing some golf, that would be a good time. And like, Trump seems like that guy that you would want to do that with, because you wouldn't just sit there. The best way to put it, I wouldn't tiptoe if I was around Trump playing with him, making fun of his shot. You know what I mean? Like, he just seems like a guy that could take that. Like, you're not going to sit there and worry about him getting all pissy and using his status after. Like, if
he's a heckler too, so he's going to heckle you.
He'll get back at you.
Those people have that TikTok where they heckle golfers. That would be amazing for them if they heckled Trump while he was doing a round.
One time he was on the golf course, right? It was him, Lawrence Taylor, and O.J. Anderson, right? And this was, I mean, these are golf buddies of his.
Yeah.
Which is, and I'm gonna be honest. Let me take a little sidebar real quick. I was kind of mad that time because, I said to him, I said, man, these guys know you aren't a racist. You've been golfing with them for years. This was after the presidency. This was like 2021 or something. And they were just some buddies out on the golf course together. And because he put me on the phone with LT and with OJ, and I was like, they know you're not a racist. Why don't they go out there? They could go out there and vouch for you. But you know what? It didn't. He said, that's all right. He said they want to protect their brand. I understand. And that's the kind of friend he is, man. But here's the thing. When I called him, what I did, I called him on his phone, right? And he answered. He said, "You know what? I was about to take about to do my swing, and you called. I was in the lead, but now I'm probably gonna lose because of you."
I kind of see where they're coming from, though, because look what happened to Herschel Walker, right? Herschel Walker obviously tried to enter into the political sphere outside of just talking about it, but the man's been dragged. They made up every single thing about him. And you know what? Like, I almost understand the whole entire, like, as long as we're still cool, Trump, I don't want to get dragged. Now, a part of me doesn't understand the courage, because me and Dave are just average Joes that risk it every week, coming on, making this show, having awesome guests on. And, one day the carpet could be pulled out from underneath us because we're on the right. And man, if Kamala gets elected, David and I might not be here anymore. We might be some of the ones that are swept. But I mean, like, part of me understands how people are still scared, but it's like I can't agree with them because of what we do, but part of me does understand it.
Part of me doesn't. Have some nuts. Go up there. You're either my friend or you're not. You know what I mean? Because they're at his golf club golfing with him. If he's president, they have access. The least, and you know what? The fact that he hasn't, quote unquote, uncovered them in public. Now, recently, no, LT and them, they did come out recently at a rally in 2024. Now, I will say this. It's easier for black people to support Trump now than it was when I first got out there with him. It's a lot easier now because of those, I have to be honest, because of people like myself. When it first started off, I was the only one out there. Herman Cain and me were the only two. And Omarosa.
Rest in peace,
Herman Cain.
Herman Cain, myself, and Omarosa. People don't know it. Herman Cain and I opened up the very first Trump rally he had back in 2015 in Georgia.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we opened it up. You'd have thought you'd call this guy racist. Two black dudes opened up his very first rally.
They don't care about that.
Yeah, but no, you listen, you're not black no more. You're just you're lowercase black. You're not uppercase black.
Yeah.
You're not politically black. So it don't matter, right? Like, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, now it's easier now, though. Lawrence Taylor and them did appear at a rally and support him, and I appreciate that. So I'm not going to hold anything against him. At that time, I was salty with him. But once again, it's easier now to support him then, because you know why? He has a track record now. 4 years under the Trump presidency, we weren't all rounded up and shipped back to Africa. We weren't put back.
They didn't put you back in chains.
We didn't get back put on a plantation. We weren't whipped and beat. We weren't lynched and abused. All of the horror stories that they fed the black community in the 2016 campaign, they looked up and say, "Hey, wait a minute. This guy's not bad after all. In fact, wait a minute.
Can make more money.
He's good. He's a good president. And you know what else? He's likable. We like it."
Yeah, we want to talk to him. When he talks to us, he doesn't pander to us, and he doesn't try to talk down to us, and he doesn't change his vernacular. And I mean, that's the one thing that's unique about Trump, and all candidates do that shit, right? They go to the South, they'll try and have a little twang. They try and be a little surfer. Trump is Trump. And you know, and it's incredible to just watch him wherever he goes, just be himself, because we're so used to politicians being these snakes, right? And that's the thing about Trump. He's not a politician. He's a businessman, but not a politician. There's a fine line between those two.
Yeah, he's doing it on his own terms, and I
Mhm.
appreciate that about him. And you know what? I always say this: America needs to enjoy him
Yeah.
while we have him, because this time period in American history is going to be a lot kinder to him
Oh,
than the present is.
yes.
Because we're going to look back on him, and he's going to be everybody. You know, he not
We
only
have to keep winning.
wants to make America great again. Trump made America fun again. He
Yeah.
made America exciting again. He
Yeah.
made us get up every morning and be like, "Hey, what's this guy going to say today?
He
What's
was
he gonna do
hilarious.
today?" Everybody turned on the news
Here's
because
the thing.
we didn't want to miss something.
It was, what was he going to say today while he was getting things done in the background, though?
Mhm.
That's the thing that Trump, and I said this on the show before, but it's like, okay, he'd be saying something to stir up the media. And I don't know if you can confirm this or not, but I feel like it was deliberate. Where when Trump was working on the Abraham Accords, on getting things done in North Korea, all this foreign stuff that he was doing, foreign policy stuff, I feel like he was saying what he was saying to get the media looking here while he was getting things done here. Just so, because if they truly were on what was going on with the Abraham Accords, they would have turned it around and tried to demonize it. If they
Yeah.
knew the positive conversations that he was truly having with Kim
Rocket
Jong-un about, the little rocket man, after that, they publicized that because he did that publicly. But then, him going to North Korea and crossing the DMZ happened fairly quick. It wasn't like this was a thing where they made it a big deal for a month. And within like 2 weeks, he was there. A week, he was there. Like, we're going, it's happening, we're there.
Mhm.
So was that kind of something that the Trump group, like yourselves, kind of said, like, hey, keep these idiots looking here while we get the real work done here?
Yeah, and you know one thing about him, he's a media master.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, that's what he does, and he knows how to work the media. But here's another thing about President Trump: he plays his cards pretty close to the vest.
He does.
And when I say that, it's what you said. He's well versed in the art of deflection.
Mhm.
So that if he wants to conceal what's happening here, he knows how to divert your attention over there.
Yep.
And that's what I believe he did in each of those instances that you referenced, because he didn't want. He just kept it pretty hush hush
Yeah.
until it was time. You know, he didn't let the cat out the bag.
So I want to jump into our topics, because as much as I just like talking and hearing, I could listen to your stories with Trump all day, which is, again, I feel blessed to have someone like you that's willing to jump on, someone who is so close to Trump, that is just so cool and down to earth, and just kind of shows, and I hope people are watching show this example of the type of people that Trump keeps around this sphere. Like, we had Simona Mangiate Papadopoulos on, and we could see just the type of people, because George obviously was around that sphere, and we eventually want to have George on the show, but we just got to see the type of people. Simona was a sweetheart. She's a wonderful woman and was so fun to talk to. And now, obviously we had you on before, and just to see the type of people he keeps around him, as opposed to Kamala and her gang and what they're trying to do. So right now, it seems like they're treating Kamala like 80-year-old Joe Biden, because where the hell is she? The thing is, nobody knows where she is. Nobody knows what she's doing. How do you think? Now, here's 2 things I think they're trying to do, and I'm going to lay this out, and you tell me what you think. Number 1, they're trying the basement strategy again, because it worked really well.
Right.
But number 2, they're also trying to Obama her at the same time. Look at the Time magazine cover. Look at all this positive press. They are really trying to prop her up as
Bringing joy.
good, this positive person, this joy, this down to earth, middle America mom type figure. Like, they do the mamala, they're saying brat. They're trying to make her all. So it seems like they're doing everything they did with Obama as a junior senator. No, we didn't know shit about Obama. He was a junior senator that was a community strategist or a community planner, whatever he was, over in the community planner. So he had no record. Kamala barely has a record outside of Biden's record and her being a shitty prosecutor. But it's like they're doing it again in the media while telling her to keep her mouth shut, which is the difference. Obama was out there talking a bunch. Kamala sucks at that. So it looks like they're trying to do a blend of the Biden basement while letting the media do their thing. Am I on or off with that? What do you think about
No, you're spot on. I said that myself, that she's trying to do the basement strategy. And you know what? When I listened to him, President Trump on with Elon Musk this a couple of days ago, I
it? Yep.
said to myself, there's no way on God's green earth that Kamala Harris would be able to have a conversation 2.5 hours on that range of topics
With anyone.
and with unscripted,
Mm-hmm.
extemporaneously. She couldn't do that. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way she's not knowledgeable enough on foreign policy, on domestic policy, on the economy, on the stock market, on climate change. She's fossil fuels, electric energy, AI. She's not knowledgeable enough to be able to have a dialogue on this. So I know she would have played it off and been laughing and try to say some sassy to get a laugh to try to divert from her lack of knowledge regarding those different topics. And like you said, they want her to come out, smile, wave at the crowd, and do a bunch of one-liners and throw that black sassiness in there. If you want to talk something, say it to my face. You know, they don't even realize she's walking in a stereotypical attitude, and she's actually being a caricature of black women when she does that type of stuff. You know, like I'm talking tough and I'm being smart and sassy because I'm a black woman, and black women got big mouths and we don't take no shit and we talking smack, and that's what it is. I'm telling you. And so when she comes out, Donald Trump, if he got something to say it to my face. Then he turns around, okay, let's debate on the 4th. Oh no, I'm not doing it. I thought you just said say it to your face.
And they treat black people and all their demographics outside of white people like they're stupid, right? Like now all of a sudden out of nowhere, Kamala starts trying to quote unquote talk black. And anyone that's a part of any culture can tell when someone has not been in that culture for a long time. Kamala has not been engulfed in any sort of black culture for a long time, obviously. She's been in Washington. She's been in just the ritzy, nose in the air type of culture. And she's been that person. And we've heard she doesn't speak this way. This is not the person she is. She's not authentic at all.
But watch this. The Democrats are trying to black shame black Americans and say, you need to vote for her. How can you not vote for her? And she's black. She ain't that black. How can she not marry a black man if she's so black?
And not pick a black VP. So hold up.
I get to say this stuff. I get to say everything that you can't say out loud. If you so black, if I have to have racial loyalty to you, if I have to have racial loyalty to the black woman, why doesn't the black woman have to have racial loyalty to a black man?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is too, like, and then she picks an old white dude as her VP. So if she's so committed to the cause, why doesn't she at least pick a black man?
Thank you.
To be a VP. Like, if that is so important, if we're being told that the fact that she's a black woman is important, then okay, if it's that important, let's make it important. Let's get a viable person to be the VP, because what you're saying is, what she's saying is, if something happens to me, I want this old white dude to run the country. I think he's the best person. So and that's honestly what the VP is. It is the safeguard. If something happens to me, they don't do much outside of be ready to grab the football if it gets fumbled.
But I believe that this would be the most competent person to pick up the mantle and get the baton and keep it going. That's what she's saying. That out of everybody in America, this is the most competent person she could find.
Yep. And it's bizarre. So,
but all black people are supposed to vote for her because she's black. We're supposed to support her because she's black. However, she doesn't have to reciprocate.
No. And here's the problem here. What? Charlemagne the God might be the worst person on the planet right now. The biggest because how do you sit there? No, but I'm talking about how, black folk just being told to fall in line, right? This man on his show was told by an old ass white dude that if you don't vote for him, I'm taking your black card. How can you, as a person that, obviously Charlemagne prides himself on being black and being a voice for black people in the Breakfast Club and things like that. How can you sit there, be told by a person who is apparently supposed to, not be the guy you want.
At least give yourself donkey today after that. I mean, come on, do
Yeah,
something.
he deserves that. But it's like, and then all of a sudden here, I guarantee he's going to give Kamala a spot or two coming up. And you know what? Where's the spot for Trump?
I'm bound to tell you this much. Guys like Charlemagne, I have to say this right.
No, you don't. It's a podcast. Say what you want, man.
I'm telling you what I know from experience. It's something about certain black people that talk all that smack, and then they get in front of some white folks and punk out. And he got in front of Joe, and he let Joe punk him. And that's all it was. And I'm telling you that because, let me tell you something. During Trump's years at the White House, I took some hardcore, supposedly hardcore black people up to the White House. A lot of them. I'm talking about, they let me bring guys up like common guys that I knew were hard from the streets, man. And like, one guy was a barber, and another guy is an influencer. He has a huge YouTube following and all of that. Yeah. They talk all that black stuff.
And barbers are the original influencers, right?
I took them up there. Can you cuss on this show?
Hell yeah, I've been doing it the whole time.
I took them up there and they turned into some bitches. Hey, one of them I had to kick him under the table. I took him up there and I was sitting down with him. I'm not going to say who we were sitting down with. And this guy immediately starts apologizing for being stupid. He was like, well, I don't have the vocabulary that y'all have. And I don't have. And I kicked him under the table. If I called his name and you looked him up, I kicked him under the table. I said, afterwards, I told him, I said, man, what's wrong with you? I didn't bring you up here to time out like this. I brought you up here because I wanted. I brought the street one up here and you turned into a punk. But he wasn't the only one. A lot of them did it. And it's just something that, it's one thing to talk that stuff on social media and all of that. I said this about a lot of preachers that I know. I said, it's one thing when you're standing up in your church and you've got a captive audience. You're the major domo there. You have a microphone. You've got a captive audience. You've got security. You've got deacons and elders right there. And you're the preacher. And you stand there and you quote the scriptures. No weapon formed against me can prosper. I can do all things through Christ. There's none with God. Nothing's impossible. I said, it's one thing standing up in church saying that stuff. But I done seen a bunch of them when that news camera and them microphones and them TV cameras get in their face. They fold like cheap suits. And I told them, I said, y'all talk all that stuff when you're in your church, but when you're standing out there with a CNN microphone camera in your face, when you're standing out there and MSNBC is asking you why this and that, and you guys roll over and play dead, that shows me what you really have on the inside. And a lot of people that talk tough aren't tough.
Yeah. And here's the thing I'll say to them. Don't go on CNN. Don't go on MSNBC. Go on a podcast like this. Go on a podcast with, not even kidding. You know what? Well, here's the thing. And I'll tell them this, if they're leftist, if they have leftist views, go on a conservative podcast because you know what? They'll let you speak your mind. They'll disagree with you, but they will let you speak your mind, and then they will give you the opportunity to tell them why you're right, and they will tell you why they think they're right, as opposed to CNN and MSNBC, where if you said the wrong thing, we've seen it before. These anchors, they get incredulous. and they start trying to debate. Instead of being anchors, they start trying to debate their guests and trying to sit there. And of course, they have the producers in their ear giving them facts, like say this to them, say that to them, and fact check this. And it's like, and it's so ridiculous that they sit there and continue to put themselves out there. And it's like, I understand why some politicians do it. If you're not good and quick on your feet, don't go out there and you're going to get toasted. Yeah. You got to be good and quick on your feet if you're any sort of opposing viewpoint out there.
I watched guys one time, the pastors went to the White House, and afterwards, when they got outside and those cameras were waiting on them, man, they ran like chickens. And some of them went on CNN and apologized. I'm not going back up there no more. And I said, these are supposed to be spiritual leaders. And they haven't learned the secret yet. See, I figured out the formula a long time ago. You want me to tell you what mine is?
Of course.
If I can't win a debate, I'm going to turn it into an argument. Because I'm not losing an argument.
Yeah.
I done took many a debate and turned them into arguments. And so that's what they don't understand, man. You don't have to take them CNN. You don't have to take their crap. Turn it into an argument, man. Just that's better. I'll never forget one time Anderson Cooper had me on, right? And Anderson Cooper said, we were talking about illegal immigrants. And I said, man, I don't care what you say. There's no way. They were talking about that catch and release. I
Yeah.
said, you mean to tell me they catch these immigrants, get them and bring them in and then release them and tell them to come back in 30 days so we can deport you? I said, man, they're not doing that. I don't care what you say. So he started spouting facts. Well, 75%, he gave me statistics. He had the data. They was feeding him the data.
Yeah.
75% of the statistics say this and say this. So I said, man, well, where you get those statistics from?
Yeah.
He said, well, we got them from the DOJ. I said, you know what? He said, well, I said, the DOJ is wrong.
And of course, the DOJ is going to give you those good statistics.
I don't care what the DOJ say.
Exactly.
I don't care what the facts say. Ain't no way nobody's getting arrested, released, and told to
And then
come
coming
back
back.
so we can deport you. And they come back on him. I don't give a damn what you, the DOJ, anybody else says. And he went off with that.
I love
And
that.
that's just common
yeah.
sense. That's
Yeah,
just common sense. That's just not. And then I would just sit there. See, in that situation, I would just look at Anderson and be like, I know you ain't that stupid. There's a lot of people on your network that are stupid, Anderson. You are not that stupid. Get that producer out your ear for a second and level with me. Would you come back?
That's it. Yeah.
And just look at it. Would you go back? And if he says yes on CNN, just be like, cut this out. You're full of shit. And then just leave. Because that would be, number one, it'd be viral and hilarious. But number two, it's like, here's the thing. I don't think Anderson Cooper's a stupid guy. I think he's cerebral.
No, he's not.
I think he's cerebral. I think he's evil sometimes. He knows what he's doing and he knows it's wrong. But out of the people on there, there's some real morons on there. He is not a dumb guy. He knows what he's doing. That makes it worse, though. I wish he was stupid because then I wouldn't be convinced he was evil. But now I am convinced he's evil. He comes across as this baseline. I want to be this real journalist. And he tries to play it cool sometimes, but he's not.
Well, the thing is,
what he's doing
with the way things have been pushed so far into the left and so far into the wacky world of going against common sense, even though Anderson is cerebral, even though he is smart, he's still exposing himself because just of how out of just basic common sense of what, like you said, if you're going to get caught and then you're going to be let go, you're not going to go back and be like, yeah, I'm ready to go back to Mexico. I'm ready to go back to Mexico.
Let me go back to Venezuela where they're going to fucking shoot me on site.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, let me do that, bro.
Do that.
No, like it's insane. And you know, the thing is, like, there's guys like Jake Tapper that still have like some semblance of credibility because out of everyone, he's one of the rare guys that I have seen. Every once in a while, we'll sit there and look at something and be like, yeah, that's stupid, guys. Like, even on his own team, he'll look like, yeah, I can't defend this. And as much as he doesn't push back against it, I can semi-respect taking the chance there as an anchor, but they suck.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I remember once I was on, and this was in 2016. It was during the RNC. And they want to nail me down as me again. It was always be 1 against 5. It was me against Don Lemon, Bakari Sellers, a couple other ones, right? And so it came down to, well, what's Donald Trump going to do about this? Huh? What's Donald Trump going to do about this? What's Donald Trump going to do about that? I said, man, I don't know what the hell he's going to do. I don't know everything Donald Trump is going to do. I said, what? Do you know everything Hillary is going to do? Yeah. Well, do you know everything Hillary is going to do? Well, do you know everything Hillary is going to do? No, I don't. Okay, shut the hell up. If you don't know everything she's going to do, how the hell I know what Donald Trump going to do? Wait till they get president. We'll find out what they're going to do. And it went off with that. But I wasn't going to be stupid enough like, well, Donald Trump's going to do this. Donald Trump's going to, man, I don't know what he's going to do. Do you know what she's going to do? No. Okay, shut up then.
So one of the plays that the leftists are playing at right now, and Kamala's playing at right now, it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. They're trying to call everything weird. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, I guess maybe someone was sitting there. I guess someone was sitting there.
Middle school, really.
Well, someone was sitting there looking and going, listen, we truly think the people of the United States are retarded. So let's treat them that way. Let's give them something so baseline that even these idiots can understand. And they're just using weird. And the one thing that I think that the Trump campaign has done a good job so far, and I think JD Vance has actually done a pretty good job, is just don't fall for it. Don't go back. Don't say, well, they're weird because of this. Just sit there and go, whatever, I'm weird, man. That's fine. But I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about the border. Just turn it back to what people care about and not fall into the weird thing. Not say, well, they're weird because they support trans people. Because you know what? That doesn't mean anything to most people. We're online. We're on X. That means something to us. Most people, they're like, I don't give a fuck about trans people. I want to feed my family. I want to make a better paycheck. I want to put gas in my car and not have me cost my paycheck, right? So I think that, they've been doing a good job just not stooping down to the weird thing, and tell Cat Turd and some of those other dumbasses to stop doing it too. Because I'm tired of some of them that are just like, their whole brand is Trump, and they are scared that that he may lose, so they are lashing out. And sometimes they're good. And any of those guys, if you listen and you're saying that you're thinking I'm an asshole, come on the show and talk to me. Because you guys are doing it wrong, and you're not helping Trump sometimes.
Yeah, we don't need to allow them. I mean, if they want to get into a weird contest, they lose. But then you wound up leaving the deer to chase the rabbit.
Yeah.
I mean, when I heard that doggone Tim Walz drank horse semen, I was like, you know what? It made my stomach turn just thinking about that. And I'm like, you know what?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was like, wait a minute. When I first heard it, I was like, can we be honest on this show?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I first heard it, I was like, what he did? Blew a horse? I mean, I didn't know.
But are you surprised with these leftist weirdos?
I had to read up on it and find out I did, because I'm like, what the hell is it? What are they talking about?
It's maybe that's a good nickname for him, like Goo Waltz. Goo Waltz. No, look it up. Why do we call him Goo? Like, what up, Goo Goo? Just call him Goo Goo. But no, it's honestly, it's one of those things that the memes were fine when it was 2016, 2015. It was a new thing.
Yeah.
People are searching for them now. Don't search for them. Let them be organic, number one. Number two, that's not where it is. Right now, people really are feeling it. You don't have to go to jokes. The jokes tell themselves. When you're sitting there and you're trying to talk policy and Kamala can't, she doesn't have one on anything, and she has no record to defend, that's where you have to hit her. At least Biden had a history, right? He had a history of being a senator, good or bad. So at least he had things to fall back on with his base. Kamala doesn't have anything. Waltz doesn't have anything positive, really. So it's like
her only thing is, I am a black woman.
Yep.
And that is not, if that was a qualification for presidency of the United States, then doggone it, we got a whole lot of qualified candidates that's much blacker than you.
Yes,
that
100%.
could do it. And it seems like that's what her position is. Vote for me because we are trying to make history. A woman and a black woman, and that's all.
And that's when Trump turns around and goes, listen, my policies will help you too. I don't care about your skin color, your race, or your sex. I'm trying to help you as well. So proud of you that you're a black woman. I'll help you out as well if you vote for me.
And the thing
you
is,
know what kind of upset me, like when they tried to sandbag him at the National Association of Black Journalists, right?
Yeah.
There's no, and what they did was try to bring up some old crap or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But there's no way that they would have had Kamala Harris come out there and they say to her, well, Vice President Harris, back in the 2020 debates, you accused Joe Biden of being a racist. And then you turned around and accepted the vice presidency. Yep. Do you think he's still a racist? And why did you think he was? They would never ask her that question.
Or in the early 2010s, when you were the prosecutor, you put away more black people for minor drug offenses than any prosecutor around at the time. What do you have to say for that? Like, they would never put in for that.
No.
They would never
got on there trying to talk that homegirl crap with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They would have gone up there and gave her like the big hugs and, oh girl, how you doing?
There'd have been sister girl up there.
Yeah. And it's like
they might have all started twerking or something.
Oh my God, they would have brought Megan Thee Stallion out there. Can you teach us all, Megan?
They'd have been sitting up twerking, and Harris Faulkner would have been sitting there looking because she don't know how.
Oh my God, that would have been funny.
The thing with the weird attacks, though, is it's just so obvious a projection because everyone before Kamala took this nomination by force, before that happened, everyone knows her as weird. She's always been weird. So it's obvious projection to try to make the other side look like that. That's a wild statement.
That's a wild statement.
It's a wild statement. But that's the thing. And that's why you could just say, yeah, whatever. I just don't even care about you calling me weird because you're you. Like, you just laugh whenever you can't say anything. Yeah. You can't even speak. That's
got to be a drinking game. I'm going to start it right here. Every time Kamala cackles at the debate, you got to take a shot.
I don't want
you'll be drunk before halftime.
Yeah.
Remember they were talking about the fake code blacks during COVID? Well, you would have the code black in every single hospital because you'd have a bunch of people getting their stomach pumps from that. Mm-hmm. You know, they would not have enough nurses and doctors for all the shots people would have to be taken. It would be awful. So let's jump into real quick. We touched on the fact that Trump and Elon had a 2-hour-long conversation.
Yep.
Just about everything. And one of the things that, Pastor Scott, you're a pastor, right? An honest man can talk about the things that he believes and he says honestly every single time, almost exactly every time, right?
Yeah.
And what do we hear from Donald Trump? We hear a lot of the same exact things, almost to a T, when he's talking about his policies, when he's talking about what he wants to do, when he's talking about, even memories of things that he did do. And Donald Trump's not a young man. Donald Trump's in his 70s, and he's recalling things exactly the same way. Now, some people could say it's practiced and rehearsed, whatever you want to say. But even practiced and rehearsed people, if you're a liar, you forget your lies and you will start to change it.
Mhm.
You can hear Trump from 2015, 2016 to today talking about some of the things that he didn't get to accomplish that he still wants to, and they're damn near identical. And, listening to Elon and Trump, as a Trump supporter, I didn't hear much new out of him, right? I know where he stands, but it's the fact that for 2 hours, I heard exactly the same exact man that I have heard since basically he's been going on Fox News on 2014.
And let's be honest, with a guy who Elon endorsed Trump now, but Elon's really endorsing Trump not out of he doesn't necessarily love Trump.
No.
He doesn't hate him, but it's more out of necessity as he sees it, because Trump's going to stop whatever the left wants to do. So it's not like Elon's this guy that loves Trump and he's just having this conversation because he's always wanted to talk to him. No, he thinks it's a fruitful thing that should happen.
Yeah.
And you notice something. He's not stating that he's for the party, that he's converted to a Republican or any of that. He's saying this is the guy that I think is our best choice for president of the United States.
Yep.
Elon's not a Republican. Elon is a climate change crazy. And here's the thing, I've told it. Here's the thing. He's doing good stuff for free speech right now. I have given him all the credit with what he's doing on X. He seems to be getting more red pilled as he sees the crazy shit going on with the leftists. But at the same time, the reason the guy does what he does is to get to Mars because he believes climate change is real and we're going to destroy ourselves.
He was much more he was less crazy than you would think he would be when he talked about climate change with Trump on the phone call, though.
Well, he said he didn't want it to be adversarial. He wanted it to be a conversation.
Well, no, but I'm just saying what he thought about it and the things, because he pushed back on 12 years. We have 12 years left. He pushed back on that heavily, and they even talked about nuclear. Yeah. So he actually was the one that defended nuclear against Trump because Trump said nuclear had a branding issue, and he
talked about how he went places and ate food with that. Yeah. And I do remember that he did, and so again, Elon maybe has molded himself. Maybe he's gone away from that whole big thing, but at the same time, it's someone, I like Elon. I don't trust Elon.
No, he wants to chip people. I don't love that.
I don't trust Elon because number one, I don't want that chip in my neck. Number one. Number two, if you want to go to Mars to be dope because you're a billionaire, do it. But his stated goal was because I think the world's going to end. And he talked about how too many people make the air hard to breathe and that oil is finite, which is bullshit. Mammals die every day. That is fossil fuels. Fossil fuels may be the most reusable energy of all time if you actually know what they are. But what was your impression? You talked a little bit, but what was your impression on how Trump handled himself during the conversation and also how Elon reacted to him?
I think they both did a great job. It was a civil discourse in a number of occasions. Such as climate change, they agreed to disagree in the sense that we're not going to be combative about this. I have my opinion. I think it's this, and Trump thinks it's that. I'm more leaning towards Trump persuasion. If you listen to the Democrats, we should have drowned by. When did Al Gore say we was going to drown under the polar ice cap? We should be all dead by now.
Yeah, it's been changed a lot.
Everybody about to build an ark like Noah, and then didn't AOC give us how many years did she give us? 12.
Well, Greta, she gave us 12, and Greta,
and that was back in 2016, right?
Yeah, I think
Greta Thunberg said sometime over the last year in 2023 we were supposed to die, and she had to delete that tweet.
There's been so many crazy.
I will say this: Al Gore is the greatest capitalist of all time because he gave us the green market, and the green market is $1 trillion market. So if you want to talk about some of he's an inadvertent capitalist. He wanted it for himself because he knew what he was doing, but he made a ridiculous market off of.
I don't subscribe to the climate change narrative simply because I look at things from a biblical worldview. And I also look at it from an eschatological sense. And I look at scripture as the ultimate truth. And there are several scriptures. It says, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, day and night, summer and winter, shall not cease. And so I
Mhm.
look at things like that, then I look at it from an eschatological sense, and I know that in end time sense, God's not going to let this world uh, deteriorate to the point where it's uninhabitable.
Hmm.
The Bible says one generation passes away, another generation comes, but the earth abides forever.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe in the quote unquote destruction of the earth. The earth is going to be destroyed and mankind is going to be wiped out, because that would do away with God's original intent for man. So that's my view. I look at it
Yep.
from that
Yep.
standpoint. So maybe my outlook is a little more optimistic
Yeah.
than
It's a lot more
people that are
optimistic.
looking at it from
Yes.
simply a naturalistic
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at things from faith, right? And I think that's why
Mhm.
people are scared of you and people like yourself, because by far, faith is the most difficult thing to have in the world. To have a firm belief and a firm conviction in something that is not necessarily tangible,
It's also
just
difficult to stamp out.
and it's
That's what
difficult
they
to
want to
stamp
do.
out. And that's, yeah, exactly. So someone like you that is not only, derived in scripture, like really that's where you base yourself from, but is also not afraid to be a real human. You're the biggest threat, because you're not just somebody that's sitting there. Just people get like weirded out by people that are just like every other word's a Bible verse because I'm so pious and I'm so this. It's like, no, you understand the Bible. You're a scholar, you're a researcher of the Bible, a theologian, but you're a real person and you understand real stuff. You're not afraid to curse every once in a while. You're not afraid to be real. And I think that more religious people need to be that way. I find too many people that find God are just now pious. And I need to and there can be both. God made us with choice. God made us human. He knows what we are. He knows what we are going to be. He knows before we're going to be it. So just be you.
And a lot of times people shy away because they think that this conduct or this manner of living is unreachable for them.
Mhm.
You know, we used to have a saying in the church. They would say, "Don't be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good."
Yep.
And that's
So
where a
that's
lot
a
of people
great
are.
phrase.
They're so heavenly minded and they present a facade that seems unattainable. And when you think it's something that you can't attain to, you won't even, you either won't attempt to do it or you get frustrated with it. And I don't think it's a proper presentation.
No, I always found the best way, if you want to try and bring someone into the church, the best way is not to start quoting scripture at them. Like that doesn't necessarily help. The best way is to just kind of be like, oh, I heard that on my sermon the other day, something similar to what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Come check it out one time. Just walk away. That's it. Leave it at that. Don't start sitting there and going, I read this and verse that. They're going to be like, I don't want to pick up that book. But if you could sit there and start talking about, oh, my preacher had a sermon that was pretty dope the other day. What did it talk about? Oh, it talked about X, Y, and Z. That doesn't sound super religious. No, it just tied back to it. It was kind of more of a great story, a good sermon. And you get people interested in wanting to come out and hear things like, what's about it, and that would be, for me, that's the best way to get some people interested in the church.
Yeah. And when Trump was coming out and we had all the evangelicals for Trump and different things even came to my church, all you heard the Democrats screaming was there should be separation of church and state. Now these black preachers are preaching Kamala Harris from the pulpit.
Yep.
And nobody, but it wasn't the right complaining about separation of church and state. It was the left.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just saying it. In other words, they were saying, don't let a politician in your church while they have while they didn't mind politicians coming into their churches. So it's a lot of hypocrisy on the left.
They got Al Sharpton and
It's
Jesse
hypocrisy
Jackson.
everywhere, but it's much more hypocrisy on the left.
Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson have been their dolls forever, and you're going to tell me no separate? Get out of here! Like you can't make up this stuff.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Jesse Jackson.
Isn't even something in the Constitution.
Let me tell you something about Jesse Jackson. In 2015 or 16, you know what Jesse Jackson told me? He said, you stay over there with Donald Trump. You support him. It's good for you to be over there with him. Because in case he wins, we need somebody over there representing us. Jesse told me that. And him and Trump have been friends for years. And you know what? Here's one thing I admire about Trump. Trump isn't like me in certain respects. Jesse Jackson got on TV and called Trump a racist. And then Jesse Jackson called Trump in private and apologized for it. He said, man, I know you're not a racist. I'm sorry I did that. Because they've been friends for a long time. And you know the one thing Trump didn't do that I would have did? Trump didn't out him.
Yep.
Trump didn't out him for saying that.
Yep.
He recounted that one time. He was doing an interview and he said, a guy I know has been friends of mine for a long time called me a racist. Then he apologized for it in private and all that. And I knew who he was talking about because I was familiar with the story. And what a lot of people don't know is Jesse Jackson called up to the White House on a regular basis to talk to Trump from 2016 to 2020.
It's not surprising. It's not
Yeah,
surprising.
and it's a thing that like people point out all the time that we don't have like the insider knowledge of it, but it's just like everyone loved Trump before he started running for president. Like everyone loved Trump in some form or fashion. He was everywhere. He was in everything because people just liked him. He had charisma. So everyone really liked him. And then he starts running for president and all of a sudden he's the worst guy in the world.
Al Sharpton, Trump knows him very well, right? So Al Sharpton and I had a debate. We were debating on MSNBC one time when they were opening up that Civil Rights Museum.
Yep.
And he and I were on TV debating. So afterwards, I was in the Oval Office like the next day, and I told Trump, I said, I had a debate on there with Al yesterday. He said, what was y'all debating about? I said, we was talking about you. He was talking all this crap. And, and I said, that's so. And like I said, in a lot of cases, Trump is a better man than me. Because when he said that, he didn't say one bad thing about Al. You know what he said to me? He said, you know what? Al and I have been friends for a long time. Said he used to come around a lot and he would come up to the tower and he'd talk about, and that was it. He didn't say one bad thing about him. If that had been me, I'd have been like that fat so-and-so said what? And I would have started telling every bad thing I knew about him, but he didn't do that. All he said was, you know what? Al and I have been friends for a long time. And he used to come around a lot. I mean, I guess we're not as friends anymore. And he let it go at that. Yeah. And I thought that was a very noble quality that he had. Because, oftentimes what somebody says behind your back speaks a lot louder than what people say in your face.
Absolutely.
And he didn't say one derogatory thing about him. And it was just me and him. He could have ripped out the shreds and I would have sat there and agreed with him. And all he said was he and I were friends for a long time. He used to come around a lot. But I guess we're not as friends as we used to be anymore. And he let it go at that, man. I thought that was a noble quality from him.
I would love to see the Mar-a-Lago guest list. That because I guarantee there's a lot of people that go to Mar-a-Lago that don't get big pub because they want to keep it on the low. I would love to see the Mar-a-Lago guest list, the Trump, country club that he has, the Trump minister. I would love to see those guest lists to see who's coming in and out because I guarantee we would see some names that would win him the election. Because you would see some people there that would sit there and be like, wait a minute, wait, wasn't Trump there that weekend? Didn't he play? Wasn't he actively playing golf there? Like he had to cross paths. Like, why is he attending that place if they're a raging racist? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if that ever got out, it would be gangbusters and people would be going on CYAing left and right and it wouldn't work. But I mean, like you said, I don't think Trump would ever allow that to happen. And if it did, I feel like Trump would be very angry. Because number one, Trump doesn't like to mess with his business. And I feel like he can put business here, personal there, politics here. Like these compartmentalizes everything.
Yeah, he does. And he's great at that.
Yeah.
And I think his acumen as a businessman and his history as a builder made him like that because, if you're a builder, now he's got to deal with the electricians over here. He's got the plumbers right here. Yeah. Now he's got the drywall guys over here. Here's the mud and tape guys. Okay, I got the concrete guys coming in. He's able to compartmentalize people because that's what he's had to do, most of his career. And I think he's very, very good at that.
So if anyone has a question for Pastor Scott about Donald Trump, if you're watching right now, we're talking to one of the people that have been as close to Donald Trump as any, basically maybe the only people closer have been family members. That he's someone that Donald Trump looks to for spiritual guidance, that talks to him for a lot of things. So if you have any questions for Pastor Scott, drop it. He's generally an open book unless it's, breaking confidence or something like that. But if you have a question, as we get into the later part of the episode, feel free to leave it because, I mean, you could tell he's a very candid individual. He says it how it is. And that's one of the reasons why we loved having you around. It's so much fun talking to you. So I want to get into some of the nitty gritty in terms of what Trump is doing with the strategy with the campaign. Now, so far, I think that they've been handling it pretty well. I thought it was pretty smart to kind of not come out and try to look like they were flailing when Kamala got the nomination and she kind of has had this bump. And I think it's been pretty wise for them not to come out and just kind of make it seem like they're desperate, right? Because a lot of campaigns would panic when they're starting to see Kamala's poll numbers go up and will come out and just try and throw everything at the wall. He's come out, he said, hey, do a press conference. You can't debate me, those things like that. But I feel like right now, November is still pretty far away. There's still a lot of work to be done in between. So I like what they're currently doing. You recently were just at Mar-a-Lago hanging out with Trump. Yeah. Obviously, you guys, you know, he's you know, you're one of his confidants and things in terms like that. Anything that you could tell us publicly that came out from your meeting with Donald Trump about what they're currently trying to do?
Well, you know, when you are going to engage with an opponent, you ascertain their strengths and weaknesses. I told him that, you know, Kamala, I call her Kamala, I don't care. She
it's her, whatever.
There has to be an adjustment, because instead of going against Joe Biden, you're going against her now, and she has a triple victim status that she can retreat to. If he calls a certain way on her, she can play the race card.
Uh-huh.
If he becomes a little overbearing and what they perceive to be aggressive, she can play the misogyny card. If he attacks her on immigration or even mentions the fact that she's of Indian heritage, now she plays the xenophobe card.
Yep.
So, you know, it's not like back to the drawing board. It's just about making certain adjustments. And so in the early stages of any arena, especially in boxing, you're feeling your opponent out. Mm-hmm. You're feeling your opponent out. So right now he's in the feeling out stage, I believe. This doesn't come from him, this is coming from me. And he's great at making adjustments. He's a great counter puncher. But once again, he's like, I have to deal with her differently than I dealt with Joe Biden. And so I think that's where he's at right now. And, you know, he's looking forward to debating her. And so in debating, once again, you have to ascertain someone's strengths, weaknesses, and put together what you think is going to be the best game plan. So we discussed Black outreach with him on yesterday. And he has a very ambitious plan that he's going to be unveiling for not only Blacks, but the underserved Blacks, the Black community, and the underserved communities of America. Mm-hmm. And so he has a very ambitious plan he's going to be unveiling. I can't let the cat out the bag. But once he announces, I can run with more of the particulars and stuff that maybe you won't be able to sit down and talk to him about. And I'd be more than willing to come back on and discuss it with you guys. But he's in a good place. He's in a good place right now.
You mean Donald wouldn't come on this show, this big popular show that is going to get him so much pub?
If he wouldn't discuss in detail some of the things I could.
So I want to throw the question out that Nate G, one of our weekly watchers, threw out. Does he know if Trump's camp has reached out to Tulsi Gabbard to rerun her 2019 napalm campaign on Kamala when she absolutely took her out of the presidential race? Has there been any conversation that you can speak of with Tulsi about being a part of what's going on with Donald Trump?
I don't know, but give me her number. I'll call her because I want her. I want her to get out there and tear Kamala's butt up like she tore it up last time.
Oh, my God.
And you know what? I was going to bring that up yesterday when he and I were talking, but you know how you get to going and going and going and going.
Yep.
And I'm just not remembering it now because I had it in my mind for a minute. But by the time I was able to get in, it had gone out my mind. But heck, I need to get in touch with Tulsi Gabbard because I want to get her out there. I want to get her on my show or something and talk about it.
Now, I wonder if Tulsi is actually on the Trump bandwagon because she's come out as more, she's definitely leaning red pills. I don't think she's a lot on the left on a lot of things. Another person, a lot of people are making her a darling. I do not trust Tulsi. I do not trust anyone that one moment was here and then the next moment's there. I get it. She's been spurned by the left, but tigers don't change their stripes, right? So for me, if they welcomed her back, I don't know how much she would stay this, I'm on the right now. Look at me. Politicians are politicians. They want to stay in the public. And I feel like Tulsi felt burned. And, again, Tulsi, I'd love to talk to you. Prove me wrong. I can tell if people are real and if people aren't. And, she's been doing a lot of good press, but something where I don't trust individuals like that. I think
I'm going to track it down. I'm going to track it out and ask her some questions.
And talking about your show, SmackDown, you're still over there on Was it Real America's Voice?
Yeah. I had been on Smack Batical for a minute because I changed my studio. And so I had to completely dismantle the one studio
Oh man.
and put it back together somewhere else. And then I'm still black. So I was skating off work.
What was that?
It would take a week. A black dude gonna take 2 weeks. Right? Hey, here's what it is.
The only like, funny
You
SNL
know
skit.
what's fun about being black? We get to say all the black stuff white people can't say.
Well, there was the funny SNL
But
skit.
we
Dave, I
get to
think I
talk
sent
about
that
white
to you.
people. We get to talk about y'all, but y'all can't talk about us. We have a black immunity.
There was that funny SNL skit where the two comedians like give each other like material, and one of them was talking about Black Superman, and it was Black Superman's kryptonite was a hard day's work. And
was that one of Daily News ones? I think I saw the clip of that. Yeah.
That was actually a great clip. It was talking about Black Superman, and like it was like, you know, this is what he'd fit well because, you know, his parents aren't there. Like the punchline wasn't, I'm not giving it as well, but it was funny because it was a white dude reading it because the black other comedian was giving him the jokes. And
right. I know what you're talking about.
It was great the way, and you could see he's reading it and just cracking up because he's like, I don't want to read this.
He's like,
on national TV. Like it was good. It was good. So Dave, what did you share over here? What do we got?
Oh, I just wanted to share a picture of Pastor Scott with Trump that he shared on Twitter. I thought it was a pretty boss picture. That's why I wanted to share.
You know what it is? I had a couple of them while I was smiling. I said, I need one with the dog on.
Well, you need mean mugging for one of them at least.
I need to get one with the dog. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, hey.
The one that you sent to me is you with the dog on. So there we go.
I didn't post the smiley ones. I got enough of them. I needed one with the dog on.
Yep.
So in terms of what the Trump campaign is doing, what do you think? Is there something new that they need to do? You said they have to kind of like switch their style, I guess, in a little bit with how to deal with Kamala. But is the way to do it for me, I would ignore that Tim Walz exists at this point. Like, let JD handle Tim Walz. I would ignore him if I'm Donald Trump. He's a nothing anyway. And I would almost ignore Kamala and just keep on talking about what you're going to do because Kamala's got nothing. The more Trump just talks about what Trump is going to do for the country. I mean,
let's be honest. You're not really going after Kamala at this point because she's just a puppet figure. Like, you'd be just basically going against the media. Like, that's really what you're going against.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, he kicked butt that rally today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he does it all.
This afternoon over and it was Asheville. He kicked butt down there. He was great.
Yep. But, you know, overall, I think that we will see what's going to happen. There's something like this too shall pass, right? Where Kamala and her big bump and the media is doing everything they can. When you have a show like Frank Luntz coming out going off, if the election happened today, Kamala would win. It's like, you know, piss off, dude. Like, you haven't been relevant in forever. And it's like, and the polls, one thing I do have to say though, if we're on the right, we believe the polls when Trump is winning. Now that it's flipped, we're like, the polls are bullshit. You know what? Act like you're losing. If you're campaigning, you should always campaign like you're going to lose. Do not go into a campaign like you're going to win. So anyone that's sitting there right now going, the polls are wrong, you should be looking at those polls going, all right, we're actually below the margin of error. We need to work harder. And that's the mentality I think is so fucking stupid about the right. We're sitting there going, oh, we're definitely going to win. No, we should be like, no, we're going to lose. We need to work harder.
What do the boxers do in their corners? They always make their fighter think he's losing the fight.
Yep.
And so he'll go out there and fight even harder.
Exactly. And I think that's the way Trump attacks it. And I think that's the way more conservatives need to attack it. We need to stop looking at this like Kamala's an easy win or this and that. No, there is no such thing as an easy win in politics. He won the first election by 44,000, lost the second one, I think, by like 14. It's, you know, in terms of like the numbers wise for like the electoral college. So it's like, we need to go in here and start thinking that we're losing. And if you're watching right now, you need to get activated. You need to get on the ground. You need to, even if it's not just for Trump, it'll be by proxy. Go get your local politicians elected. Go get your school board. Go get all that done because it will help. So it's crazy right now, but
and we need to make sure we turn out to vote en masse.
Yes.
And we need to, like my grandkids now are voting age and they're going to vote for Trump. And so that's going to be, I got twin grandkids, they're 22 years old. They're going to vote for Trump.
Yep.
And so there's going to be 2 more voters. We need to do things like that. Make sure we get as many people voting as we possibly can, voting for our candidate. And I think we have a very, very good chance of pulling this out.
Hell yeah. I think we can do it, but I just think we need to stay focused. So,
Yes.
and also I think if we continue to have voices like yours in Trump's ear and voices like yours on the air, which you need to get your ass back on the air quickly. We need it on the air. We need you there.
Semi-retirement.
Stop it.
Hey, man, listen.
Stop it.
I'm 9 years older than I was in 2015.
That's a fair
You look
point.
9 years younger though, man.
That good hair dye.
Listen, keep it up. Go keep talking to Trump's hair guy. And listen, the only reason you're friends with Trump is so you can deal with his hair guy. We know.
It's a lot of things, man, that I could attend and stuff like that. That just be like, man, do I want to go? Or do I want to just sit back, watch TV and scratch?
Yeah. I don't blame you.
I'm 9 years older than 2015, 8 years older than 2016, and I got a little bit lazy. So I guess I got to get back in the game. I think I'm going to get back out there. In fact, he told me yesterday that I need you back out there. And so he said it. He said, put him back out there. And I got a call right there from the surrogates and said, listen, Trump said for us to start booking you here. So I got to do it now.
I mean, listen.
I'm not a camera whore. You know what I mean?
Relax,
So some of those guys, they live, breathe, eat, and sleep. It's like the camera's their crack.
Yep.
I'm not like that.
And here's why you're valuable. And I want to let you go soon because you've given us so much of your time, and I'm always gracious for it. But the reason why you're valuable out there is because unlike a lot of his surrogates, you're not practiced. You're not this polished dude. We could tell who you are. We could tell you're real. We could tell what you're saying. You're not just saying because you believe it in your brain. You actually believe it in your heart. And you're legit. You're authentic. And and Trump needs guys like him who are authentic, because the more authenticity you have around you, even if you're not authentic, it makes you look more authentic, right? So having authenticity around you helps by osmosis. So, I mean, I want to say that you've done enough, but here's the thing. Communists never stop, right? Marxists never stop.
They're never tired.
They are never tired. So we cannot get tired. So, I got to do more. Dave has to do something. And he
got to get that background together first.
he can't even do that.
Talking about him doing anything else. Get your background right, man.
He can't even print out some papers and put it up with the thumbtack. He can't do nothing.
Buy a curtain or something, or a shower curtain or something.
Just get a green curtain, do a green screen. It's not very hard. Or even do a digital background at this point.
Yeah, it's a good bit. I like this bit, though.
It's a bit every week.
It's a good bit.
Man, it's been good, man. I got to go.
So Pastor Scott, once again, Pastor Darrell Scott, he is a friend and advisor to President Trump. Graciously saved our ass with a guest tonight, so we appreciate him. SmackDown on Real America's Voice. We'll be back hopefully soon. And, check out where he's going to be. Go follow him on Twitter. If you're looking on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called now, at Pastor D. Scott. And are you anywhere else social media wise, or is Twitter your main hub?
Twitter the main one.
All right. So once again,
I'm on Facebook, but I say I don't do politics on Facebook.
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
I do all church stuff on Facebook.
I love it. And if you're in, what area are you in? If they want to attend,
Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. So if you're
go Browns, go Indians, go Cavs.
So if you're in the area over there,
you want to hear something funny real quick before I go?
Of course.
All right. It was the Senate race up here, and different candidates were wanting Trump's endorsement. And so I talked to Matt Dolan. His family his brother owns the Cleveland Indians, and they changed the name to the Guardians, right?
Guardians.
Yep.
And so I said, Matt Dolan wants to meet with you. He wants to sit down with you and talk about getting your endorsement. Trump's like, no, they changed the name. He changed the name of the Indians to the Guardians. And, Trump's a baseball guy because he played baseball.
Yep.
No, they changed the name
of
the Indians to the Guardians, and that sucks. And I said, but he didn't do it. Trump didn't know.
No.
He wouldn't even meet with the guy.
I love it. Oh, last thing before we let you go. Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. What's your reaction?
Yeah, I know. Hey, you happen to, I'm a comic book geek.
That's why I want to ask.
We are going to listen. When this election's over,
maybe after the election, we have to have you on for a comic book show.
I'm a Silver Age Marvel guy.
Yes.
Yeah, we know you showed us some of your comic stuff at the end of the last show.
Now, Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr., he's a good actor.
Yeah.
fantastic actor.
So he might be a good Dr. Doom.
But he's Iron Man.
Yeah, but didn't Iron Man die?
Yeah,
He's dead, yes.
But you don't kill him off and bring the guy back as a different dude.
Nah, you don't do that.
I'm the
You're
dude
right.
playing the dude disguised as the other dude. That's actually Robert Downey's
the
line
only way you
too.
could do that was if you don't kill him and bring him back as an existing character.
Yeah.
You have to bring him back as a new character. Like, we thought he was dead, he's really alive, and now he's Copper Man. Instead of Iron Man. And
Like, unless it
he's
failed,
Gold Man, a Silver
Yeah.
Man.
Like Chris Evans came back as Captain America because Fantastic Four just flailed out and was done. Like he wasn't the Human Torch anymore. That's over. So you can bring him back, right? Because nobody cared about that version. We want Tony back as Iron Man. We want him back.
Who would be a good Iron? Who would be a good Dr. Doom? Who do you think?
I mean, the one that played in Fantastic Four was fine.
Well, I know I've seen some names thrown out like Viggo Mortensen, Cillian Murphy, which I think Cillian Murphy might.
Cillian Murphy will do a good job. I don't know. He doesn't look Dr. Doomish though.
He doesn't
even
look
though you
Dr.
have the
Doomish.
mask on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, he can have the mask off a little bit, but I would rather him do that as Victor Von Doom. But when he actually has the stuff on, just put the mask on.
But he's got to put a little muscle on.
What kind of voice are you?
Small.
What kind should Dr. Doom have a Darth Vader-ish voice or what? Because the mask is gonna alter his voice. What kind of voice should he have?
It was always deep and just domineering. Like
it has to be a bit intimidating.
Yeah,
but also like his voice has to have a tinge of intelligence. Like it has, like if you could show that in your voice, you have to be able to do
it. Yeah, because the original Dr. Doom was a counterpart to Reed Richards.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
And so he was supposed to be the two most brilliant guys in the world.
Yes, and he's incredibly powerful, an incredible villain, and it's a desperation move by Marvel putting Robert Downey as Dr. Doom, which is unfortunate.
Jackie Chan should be Dr. Doom. Yes, Nate.
I'm trying to think though. Who do you guys think would be a good one?
I like Viggo Mortensen, honestly. Vigo's a good one. Viggo Mortensen's a good one.
I think he would be a good one.
I think he would be. David said that. I think he would be. He's probably my lead candidate. I mean, or go get a relative unknown.
Yeah.
What have happened to getting some good unknowns that know are good actors, and let's make them, right? Like that was always like a fun thing that
and the thing is,
get some relative unknowns.
So many people go back to the Dredd movies. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he kept the mask on the whole time because that's what Judge Dredd is.
Wasn't that Sly Stallone? Wasn't he Judge Dredd?
No, that's another Dredd movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing with Dr. Doom, you can go and get an unknown, just put him in the mask the whole time. Yeah. He gets a good performance.
You don't need an origin story from him and just make him be the villain.
But he gives a good performance. He's automatically skyrocketing. You don't need to have his mask off. I don't necessarily care about Doom with his mask off. I'm not going to lie to you. He's much cooler with it on.
Dr. Doom, one of the seminal series in Fantastic Four was that time when he had got a hold of the Silver Surfer surfboard. Remember that? Did you ever read those?
Oh, yeah, because I'm a Silver Surfer fan. It's my favorite hero.
Yeah, and we never knew it, man. Those Silver Age Marvels will have you on the edge of your seat.
They were amazing.
And, the Galactus trilogy. Oh, my God. That was the greatest trilogy in comic book history.
I'm telling you, because there's so much going on election year. Of course, we want to have you on multiple times.
Back.
There you go.
It is there.
Hey, watch this.
It's one of my favorites.
I play spades a lot, right?
Yeah.
And when we play with the Joker Deuce in there, right? The big Joker. You know what I call the big Joker?
What do you call?
The ultimate nullifier.
That's amazing.
I love it. The ultimate nullifier was that little gun they pulled out to stop Galactus with.
Yep.
Remember, he got Johnny Storm got it from the Watcher.
Yes.
And then they tried using it.
I say, I got the ultimate nullifier.
They tried using it on Thanos when Thanos got the gauntlet, and he just said no.
Okay, I'm telling you, we have to have like a straight up nerd comic stream at some point.
Yes.
It's hard to do in an election year when the politics are such a big thing, but we have to do it at some point.
So either post-election, we're either going to be doing we're all depressed and we need an uplifting comic book stream, or we're all pumped and we're doing a happy comic book stream. Either way, we're going to do one post-election. So, I mean, Pastor Scott, once again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, man. I'll be back. God bless y'all.
Absolutely. Everybody go follow Pastor Scott. And, Dave, we're going to hang out for a second. Pastor Scott, have a good one, man.
All right, I'm out.
Have a good night.
Bye. So, Dave, you weren't in for the beginning. And did you have anything that you wanted to bring up at all pre-show or anything fun? Because we appreciate everyone that watched. And, for people to understand, like I said, we appreciate Pastor Scott, an individual.
He was late notice, man.
He's awesome. A few hours notice. Decided to jump right in. And we always appreciate the chat. We appreciate Nate. We appreciate Smoking Jen over there leaving comments and things like that. You guys are fantastic. But I mean, we had a guest, and I'm not going to say who it is because he's awesome. So I've got
something popped up.
Important, and I will just say he's an important guy to the election right now. So he gets a pass. He's not someone that's just canceling on a whim. But I appreciate everyone there, and I kind of going to get a little bit, I guess, mushy, but to be able to have the ability to even like text a guy like Pastor Scott, and to have him jump on is something I never imagined I'd be able to do. And it's because we do this show, and it's because we have even the modest fan base that we have, and the people here that we'll be back every week regardless of who's here and who isn't. But having you guys around, having the chat here makes it easier. Having people that are looking for us every single week makes it easier. And we just want to come out and continue to do the best interviews we can. Even if it's us two just being schmucks, just talking to people and talking whatever we want to talk about. So I guess thank you. Thank you to Pastor Scott. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Kind of thank you, I guess, for being around, I guess.
Nah, don't thank me.
Nah, you can.
I don't do shit.
You honestly, you can't even get things on your wall.
Honestly, Nate had a great idea of doing a green screen with the white
wall. Nate, I might, if he does that, I might excommunicate you from the chat. So, but no, overall, again, thank everybody. We appreciate you all. We'll be back next week. If you like what you saw today, give us, smash that like button. That always helps. Give us a subscription over there. That helps. And on X, give us a follow, repost this. And again, most importantly, word of mouth. Let everybody know where we are. Let everyone know that we are having these important conversations. That we're talking to people that are, we can't talk to many people closer to Donald Trump than Pastor Scott. And it's actually incredible that, to have something with so much insight as to, when people say like, sources familiar with Trump's thinking, like we quite literally just got sources familiar with Donald Trump's thinking. So we're pumped. We love it. We'll be back next week. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be around, but we might. So maybe not. We'll find out.
We'll see.
All right, everyone.